I'm WWE Superstar Drew McIntyre, and I am on the Hollywood Raw podcast. It is random, it is crazy, which means I love it.
Welcome to the Hollywood Raw YouTube page, guys. We're happy to have you here. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave us comments, do all the stuff.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. I got a drug addiction to feed. So, Drew, thank you for coming on the Hollywood Raw podcast. I want to kind of get right into it because, you are a WWE superstar. You've had an incredible career. You've been a WWE champion, an intercontinental champion, you were an NXT champion, you're a tag team champion. But what everyone wants to know is, how is the catering backstage at the WWE?
The catering is pretty sweet. I got to be honest. The problem is, for me personally, on TV day and our premium live event day, when we have our big events once a month, I'm so busy and so stressed out getting myself ready for my big matches or my segments that I generally don't eat that day. So I miss out on all the quality food. So I try and preload, eat early in the day, because I know the majority of the afternoon I'm going to be getting ready for the show, and after the show thinking, man, I'm so hungry. I wish I took advantage of that awesome catering.
Are you allowed to take it home though? Like make a little doggy bag of food from the catering table and just kind of take
you
it for
are.
the car ride?
It closes at a certain time, and generally I'm kept so busy I always forget, and then I'll see some of the lads leaving with their food, and I'm like, oh, you son of a gun. So I'm gonna have to spend a fortune now at the steakhouse down the street and sit in my hotel room, and they'll never have the silverware in there. They always forget, so I'm just like a savage in my hotel room afterwards, just eating a big steak with my bare hands, as most people probably imagine that the Scottish guy with a kilt and coming straight from the Highlands would eat a steak.
Yeah. So is the food backstage, is it mostly healthy since everyone's in shape? Or is it just everything, like from pizza to grilled chicken breast to whatever? Is it just a mix of everything?
There's a mix for everybody. There's always a vegan option also. Obviously, people diet different dietary needs these days. So there'll be something on the healthier side, something in the middle, and something vegan and vegetarian options. And if we're on a tour, it seems like every time I go on the bus after a show, when we're in Europe or whatever, going from town to town, it always seems to be pizza every time. So I always do have to have a word like, hey, don't forget, some of us are trying to eat healthy, but we really want to eat pizza, so don't put it in front of us, please. I'm going to be about 300 pounds.
I gotta imagine that's tough when you're traveling around, because you're trying to eat healthy, but whenever I travel, I always eat whatever there is. When you are traveling, do you share cars with other superstars? Do you share hotel rooms, or is it you got your own thing going?
I don't share a hotel room these days with another superstar. I'm a grown man. So I like my own space. When I was younger, in my 20s, when I was more keen about having our show and then having a night out, and you're spending limited time in the hotel room and only sleeping for a few hours, I generally would share with another superstar. But that was in my early to mid 20s, and eventually it got to the point where, okay, Drew, you're an adult, it's time to get your own space, get your own hotel room. And when it comes to traveling car wise from town to town, I do generally shack up, whatever you want to call it, get a car with one of my fellow superstars, somebody that I get along with, because you spend a lot of time together, and you end up almost actually probably you nip at each other more than my wife and I nip at each other in real life. You have your road wives. I'll have Sheamus, or perhaps a Jinder Mahal, and Jinder's a bit more easygoing. He just goes with the flow. But Sheamus, you can get an idea what we're like just by our banter on Twitter, the way we go at each other back. We go at each other and give each other a hard time way more than my actual wife and I. It's who's my road wife.
I think it's gotta be so wild when you guys actually are driving. When the show's over, you're driving through the night to the next gig just to be there on time, and you're driving through the middle of the night, and you could be at a 7-Eleven, and all of a sudden you and Sheamus, two huge monsters, walk into a 7-Eleven late at night. People got to be like, man, who are these guys? It's probably a gnarly sight to see you two walking into a place just anywhere, just because of the size of you guys.
Yeah, people would probably notice less if he would actually put his hat on and put his hood up like I do most of the time. People would just think, oh, that's a big guy. I wonder what he does. You don't really see the face, but Sheamus likes to take his hat off. He likes to keep his hood down, and he looks like Ronald McDonald's jacked older brother, so he doesn't exactly blend into the background. So when people see him, Sheamus, wait a minute, guy in the hat, beard, big, that's Drew. So we probably blend in more, but Sheamus likes, the attention. He likes to talk to people. He's very much a people person. After the show, I like to decompress. I like to blend into the background. You'll see me hunched over, just kind of hanging out. And I love to meet our WWE universe. I love to meet our fans and talk about our product. But 1 o'clock in the morning, 7-Eleven, you're not meeting, the guys or girls who showing the kids that were just at the show, mostly drunk people. So
yeah,
you just get on with things.
Drew, there's no way you're blending into the background. You're 6'5", man. But that being
Good
said,
job. You'd be surprised in Nashville, this area. Like, I've got it down where my body posture, I look like Nosferatu. My wife calls me Nosferatu. The way I kind of move myself around with my hat on, she's like, wow, for such a giant guy, like, you're nearly 280 right now. And obviously the long hair and the beard with the hat on, the hood up, the body posture, I think I did a pretty good job.
Okay, so tell me, what is it like when you get on a plane? What is it like for a 6'5", almost 280 guy getting on a plane? Are you getting 2 seats, or is first class enough for you to spread out your legs? Like, that just seems like it must be a nightmare.
It used to be fine in the business section, the first class section, but it seems like over the years, the airlines have decided to add some more seats, make some more money, and make it a little more uncomfortable for those on the taller end. Just flying back to the UK there for a big show, Clash of the Castle, I noticed the British Airways seem to have minimized their business section, and they've got these little, I don't know what you would call them, for your leg area. You have to unclick the leg rest, you bring it down. It's very flimsy. So I'm sitting in my seat. I can't get down flat. It's impossible at my size to get down flat. So I put my legs on this flimsy little leg rest, which is, I'm mock dead, I guess. I'm beside my wife. She's telling me to stop fidgeting around if I'm trying to get comfortable. And suddenly my legs go right through the leg rest and break because I don't know who designed it, but I don't know. Hopefully they're not designing the planes, because the thing just broke. I was like, excuse me, my leg rest broke. And so the stewardess was like, we've never seen that happen before, sir. And I was like, well, that's just the way it's made. And then my wife jumps in and goes, no, it's him, he breaks everything.
Oh man!
I always got the wife to bring it down a notch.
Yeah, right?
Huh?
She could have got, if she didn't say anything, you probably could have got an extra 100,000 miles for that trip.
Yeah. See, my head would probably be the size of, I don't even know what, though, if it wasn't for my wife. She very much keeps my feet on the earth and about 10 feet under the earth. Just like to stay humble.
Because you travel so much, I mean, you're on the road nonstop. I mean, the WWE doesn't take off. They're always working. They're always hustling. Are you lifetime platinum at any of the airlines? Or what's your status like with the airlines?
My status is pretty good.
Yeah,
I think I'm pretty much close to the top of every airlines, as I've been with WWE since I was, 22 years old. I started traveling full time, and even the time I was outside WWE, I was still traveling full time. So over those, this was 15 years now. I've racked up some decent miles, and I generally fly, business first these days. I'm an old man, earned those seats, but also being a pretty big guy, that's where I generally get booked. But I've got those miles there that come in handy for if I want to bring the wife, or I want to bring my family from Scotland to visit in America. So that's cool.
That's awesome.
When you because you're traveling so much, I'm assuming you're watching a lot of shows or binging stuff. What do you watch on Netflix or HBO, or what are you watching?
I feel like I've pretty much watched everything. Whatever is the current thing that everybody's watching, the wife and I generally watch. And it's amazing that on planes, I really don't do much watching. I think I'm the only wrestler in the world that has slight narcolepsy or something. Wherever I sit for more than 5 minutes, I've got the ability to instantly fall asleep. Like those international flights, you'll catch me sleeping the whole time. Domestic flights, if it's an hour, you'll find me lying on somebody's shoulder, snoring all over them, or snoring very loudly, apparently, according to everybody around me. But if I'm in the hotel, I'm at home, I'll be watching whatever the latest shows are. My wife and I are still waiting for the new Outlanders to come out. I'm very excited. I
was going to ask you if you liked Outlander.
Oh,
you a big fan?
She found it. I've been pushing Braveheart for years. She was like, it's okay. Okay. It's amazing. And it's 100% historically accurate. Just don't check the internet, or don't check any history books. And, like many, many different Scottish shows she never get into. And she was like, I finally found a Scottish show. She told me about it. Sounded a bit wacky. Outlander. And we checked it out. We watched it together. Love it. Very annoyed the last season only had like 6 episodes. I guess they're doing a bunch in the new season to make up for it. Like they couldn't film the way they wanted to during COVID. So I'm very excited about that. And Mick Foley, I guess, is buddies with one of the producers or something, had mentioned, you want to be on the show at some point? I went, no, I don't want to be on the show about Scottish people in kilts with swords. I don't do that any other time. I don't feel like I would fit in perfect.
That show is so good. Season 1, episode 7, for anyone who hasn't seen it. Go watch that episode. It's awesome. No, but I always have to turn the subtitles on because I can't understand half the stuff that, like, all the little, I don't know, mannerisms or the words that they say. I'm assuming you don't. Is all that the way they speak today, or was that how they used to speak over in Scotland many, many years ago?
I mean, most of it's how they speak today, but also that's a very, very tame Scottish accent on everybody on that show. That's like the most well-spoken Scottish people, aside myself, that are on Outlander. If you ever check my Twitter feed, whenever I do something very Scottish specific or for my soccer club, if you go into the mentions, suddenly it's not, my WWE fans with generally positive comments. It's, why are you talking like that? You forgot where you came from. Why are you not talking like this now? That's why. That's why we have the thickest accents in the world in Scotland. We're impossible to understand. So in Outlander, it's very much tamed down. They use some slang words. But I also put the subtitles on because I'm very deaf. My left ear is not good from the years of pyro. So I also got to put the subtitles on for everything these days. But yeah, I love the show, and I love the fact they use a lot of the slang so I can use it in real life, and people generally catch on now if I'm talking about the Bairns would mean.
Yeah, Dax is obsessed with that. He really is.
I love that show. It is so good.
So,
and I didn't know what Barons were before that show, so I like the reference.
Dax, I wanted to tell you something. I take a lot of credit because that's just the egomaniac in me, but I did something that I think ultimately put, and I think, Drew, this was a huge thing because I was actually surprised when this happened. But I interviewed The Rock years ago, and I said to The Rock, Rock, who do you think is the next huge WWE superstar? Who's going to be the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, John Cena? Like, who is that person in the WWE? And he said, Drew McIntyre, this video. And the video blew up. And I remember, like, wow, that was really cool. And then it was crazy because your career started to really take off. And then all of a sudden, it threw like gas on a fire, it just blew up. Did you see that video? And if you did see that video, like and I know like Stone Cold Steve Austin really recently said something about you and praised you. When you have the veterans praise you, how does that make you feel?
It's incredible. I'm a lifelong WWE fan. I'm very lucky to be doing it full time. I've been doing it for a long time, and to hear that level of praise from not just people that I admire and respect, but people that were just huge successes in our industry that truly get it, how to become a top level star, how to become box office. And The Rock's taking it to an extreme level, obviously, in Hollywood and taking over there. But it's just the best feeling in the world. And that was such a cool clip. Thank you for getting that, because that was such incredible motivation at that particular time. I wasn't doing much on TV. I was lucky to be featured. I was very happy to be featured, but I was generic bad guy number 3 that was going to work with the top good guy. I was like, oh, Drew's big, he's hairy, he's angry, he's Scottish. That's a believable bad guy. I'm not going to get much beyond that point, but there he is. He's got his uses. And The Rock had said that. And I thought, wow, that is so cool. And that he feels that way. And it gave that extra motivation to keep pushing forward, because I always believed, and I told Triple H this a few years ago, my money's in my real story. That's how I'm going to relate to people. People can't connect to me, but they can connect as the angry big character. They connect to the real person, the real Drew, the person that's been through so much, all the ups and downs. When we get to tell that story, that's going to be the time when they connect, or are completely wrong. So it was like, we got the chance not long after that to start telling my real story and everything I'd been through and how much I'd had to overcome. And that was the shot in the arm I needed, hearing those comments from The Rock, and it meant the world to me. And, he's such a great guy. He's not changed during his entire life, career, success he's had. He's always at his feet on the ground. He's a workaholic. I once read in his book, All It Takes Is All You Got. And that really struck a chord with me. And I make sure I'm the busiest person in WWE, and I constantly give everything that I've got. And I always talk about my wife keeping my feet on the ground. I can see meeting his mother, why he's able to keep his feet on the ground. Like, she's the coolest person in the world. I got to thank her this past WrestleMania, because a few years ago at WrestleMania 35, I actually wrestled Roman. And as you know, they've got a pretty big family. One of them just screwed me over at Clash of the Castle. But there was a lot of people were down the front to see Roman's big WrestleMania match coming back from the leukemia. I was his opponent, and all I had was my little wife there trying to see the match, but she was kind of in the background at the front row, couldn't really see. And Rock's Mamata took her to the front, made sure she was looked after, made sure she could see, and you can see why he's such a good guy in the way he is today, just with his upbringing through his mother.
Oh,
yeah.
What a great story. And now you owe Adam 10% of everything you make moving forward.
Yes. Set me up. So I just sitting there like, I'm not going to get anywhere. Oh my goodness, this is where I'm going to be forever. I'll never break through that glass ceiling. And just sort of walk away. Damn it, if the Rock believes he can do it, I can do it. But it was so a shot in the arm. Like somebody's like that says something like that, it really does motivate you. So I appreciate you getting those comments, and I was blown away. You know, he said,
Yeah, no worries. Do you, obviously you perform in front of sold out audiences around the world. You know, do you still get nervous? Like you go out there, it's not really scripted. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not. There's not. You're not reading off a monologue. You know, there's no teleprompter kind of telling you what to say. Do you get nervous when you go out still, or you just kind of don't even think about it?
I get nervous, absolutely, but it's more butterflies these days. When I was first in WWE throughout my 20s, I would get so nervous to the point where I would almost be having panic attacks, to be honest. And I would have my script in front of me, like a literal script, and I'd be trying to commit every word to memory. I've got to remember these words. If I mess up one word, then I've screwed up the whole promo. And you can look back at my old interviews I would do in the ring. You can literally see by my eyes, I'm trying to remember every single word that's on that piece of paper. And I used to have like moments where I would forget because you're trying to remember every word of an interview you've been given 2 hours prior, an hour prior in your live television. And I would have a move I would do. Wade Barrett used to give me stick because he was like, you forgot your place, didn't you? And you could always tell because I would stop. I would move my eyes like the Terminator. That was one of my old moves. I'd move the eyes first, then I'd move the head, and I'd run my hand through my head. That meant I forgot my place. And you know, I was very much not present, not in the moment during those promos, but like at least the boss would say, like Vince would tell me afterwards, I was a good pause at that point. I was like, thank you, sir. It was very intentional. Words. But I was so like not in the moment, not present. And the crowd can feel that even if they can't articulate it, they can see it's somebody who's not believing what they're saying, just trying to recite a bunch of words. And the difference is now, when I'm going out there, I've got the butterflies. I've got the idea what I'm going to say. I know how much time I have because we have to stick to our times on the show. We'll get so long we're on the air, and our segment is allocated a certain amount of time. You go over it, you affect other people, cost the company money, etc. So I go out with the intention of this is what we've talked about. This is where I know where I need to get to. If it doesn't feel right, if the crowd aren't biting, I'm going to go a different direction and stay within the story confines to get to the ultimate goal. But number one, I'm going to be present so the crowd can see I'm feeling the moment. You can look right in my eyes and see he's feeling what he's saying right now. Find some nugget of truth in there, even if it's a ridiculous story, not necessarily true. I will always find the truth in the situation so I can believe it, and therefore they will believe it. And that's the difference these days, that whatever that paper says, you know, that's a guideline, but out there, I'm going to go with what feels right. And that's through experience, you learn that.
Now, do you have like a pre-match routine that you do every time? Like, oh, I got to drink a coffee or drink a tea or take a poop or whatever the case is before you go out to like calm yourself down?
No, it varies on the day. Some days are busier than others. Like I'm generally lucky to be very, very, very busy on TV day. So I'll be in our pre-taped rooms recording different PSAs and the things that I'm very fortunate to be part of. Like, you know, our many campaigns. I believe last week we did something for anti-bullying campaign, which I'm very fortunate to be part of. And then I'll be running off to do some social liners for shows across the world. And then I'll be asked, hey, can you come in by the ringside? There's a stunt going down you might want to see and get the camera angle for. So I'm zipping all over the place during the day, that if I wanted to stick to a routine and wanted to have something I have to do before every match, it would literally be impossible. The only thing I try to stick to is something, again, the wife's good for. She'll text me and say, have you eaten some kind of carb? Because if I have a match, I have a promo, that's the only thing that's going to mess me up, is if I've not eaten something specifically carb. So I'll have a bagel somewhere, a banana somewhere, I'll stuff those in my face about an hour before I go on television just to make sure, you know, everything's working the way it's supposed to, physically and mentally.
That's interesting. Do you have to do your own laundry, or how does that work? Are you traveling your trunks, or can you just leave them and someone washes them for you when you're on the road?
I think I've mentioned it about 10 times. I'm married. I'm kidding. Does she hear me? No, I usually bring enough things with me. Like I know what I've got to get done when I'm on the road. I've got my calendars. Okay, I've got this show, this appearance, like this weekend, for example, I leave tonight and go to Seattle. We'll have SmackDown. Then we'll have the 2 weekend live event shows. I'm back on Monday. So I'll pack appropriately. When I get home, I've kind of got a little OCD where I have to get in the house, unpack everything, put the laundry on, put the bag away, and put the laundry away as quick as I can just so that I can decompress. And when I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that. In the locker room, is it one big locker room? Does everyone have their own rooms, or is it, what's the setup like? Do you have your own shower? Is it group shower? Like everyone, what's that setup like?
It varies from arena to arena, or stadium to stadium. Just whatever the team have is what we have. We're using the team's locker room. So if they have, individual showers, we have individual showers. If they have the group situation, we have the group situation like high school. And when it comes to the locker rooms themselves, we have our male talent locker room where everybody's in together. A certain talent will have their own locker rooms. You can probably guess who most of them are. It's not something like I ever want or would ever do. I like being around the boys. I like that camaraderie. I like that banter every week. So I get straight in male talent. I like to hear what everyone's stories are for the week, especially the younger talent who are kind of experiencing everything for the first time. It's like, make me feel young. Let me live through you. Even though I'm 37, like I'm one of the young old guys. Like a lot of our guys are in their mid-40s. Everyone thinks I'm in my mid-40s. I've been around for a long time. But as far as anyone's concerned, the younger talent, I'm one of the old men in there. So I like to hear all the stories.
Now, do you have to bring your own shampoo and conditioner, or is that stuff just sitting in the showers waiting for you guys?
It varies. We can get access to it. We have our makeup team there every week who have everything you could possibly need. But I bring my own stuff. Got my own products. Got my own routines in the shower and in the bathroom. You don't want to know about that. I do, and I'm prepared.
Yeah, your hair is, you come out, your hair is always wet. Is that water, or what exact material is in your hair?
Just all the time. My hair's wet. Look at it right now.
Is it like a gel, or is it
consistently wet? You just 24 hours a day? When you're a wrestler, like as soon as you start wrestling, you go on TV the first time, you're like, what just happened to my hair? And for the rest of your wrestling career, it's just magically wet until you retire, then it's dry again. That's just water for me. I did just work out today, and I did just shower literally before I come on this interview. That's why it happens to be wet right now. But I use water just specifically. Like a lot of the guys use conditioner with water, which keeps it wetter for longer. It gives it a different look. For me, I just put the water in and kind of like how it looks and try not to go overboard. Like I've always had pretty fine hair, and if you go too far, you start seeing through it, which isn't ideal. In my entire life, I've been like, ooh, my hair's probably not long for this world. My dad doesn't have any, all my uncles don't have any, but my mother's side do. And I think I might have got lucky with my mother's side, and my brother perhaps, went towards my dad's side. So I'm feeling fortunate right now. My hair's still sticking around.
I've heard it's from your mother's father's, but I think it is. But so as long as your mother's father had hair, you're good.
That's what I'm hoping. He had it to the day he passed. Like he was 6'3", big policeman, former professional soccer player, and he always had a glorious head of hair his whole life, even more glorious than mine. I just hope mine sticks around, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
So I see you're wearing a McIntyre shirt. Now, do you collect any of your own personal merchandise? Because I know, like, when I think back to, like, Hulk Hogan and just how he had this room full of all this memorabilia with him all over, do you collect yours?
I don't have a shrine to myself like some of the guys do, where I go in and show people and go, here is my shrine. but I do, keep a lot of my things now, and that's something I learned over the years. Something Randy Orton kind of taught me as well was after big matches, keep a little something. And I remember during our Hell in a Cell match, I clipped open the padlock with a big pair of bolt cutters. And he got a little piece of the padlock and he gave it to me and kind of told me he likes to keep a little something from big matches. So I started doing that. When it comes to the action figures, I have some from back in the day, but since I came back my second run, I keep a lot more. And I understand now with my old mind in a younger superstar's body, that one day everything will just become memories. And it'd be nice to have physical reminders of those memories. So I do, and collect what I can collect now, especially the cooler stuff. If I see myself front and center on a calendar with, that's the recent one I got, myself, Roman Reigns, and John Cena, I think were the three featured on the front of it. And I was like, my goodness, I was at 3MB not too long ago. This is cool. So, it gives me perspective. And also I am, understanding this could all end tomorrow. and it'll be cool when I'm sitting down on the rocking chair in my porch out there, and I'm thinking about the old times that I'll be able to reach into the the old closet and pull out some reminders. Maybe I'll make a shrine when I retire. I don't know.
So right now, what is your prize piece of memorabilia from a match or something that you look at and you go, that is the coolest thing I own at this moment?
If I'd say the coolest, I mean, I got a few cool things. Like I got a double pack with the Undertaker one time, which was really cool during my first run. Little Rumblers figures. But the coolest one is definitely the WWE title that I won against Brock. I don't know if when I lost it, I was supposed to give it back, but I didn't. It's our secret, but I have it, and it's in possession. I ain't giving it back. And also, if I reach to the side of me, I have a couple of these guys that are pretty cool. And,
so wait, where do you keep the title?
Like back in the day, I've got two Slammies that Going Hard used to wave around all the time. So, I'm very proud of those things as well.
So where do you keep the title belt then? Or is it just sitting out, or you got it locked up in a safe, or what?
Secure, yeah, pretty much all my stuff is like in the specific area that I keep everything. So there's like a secret room I discovered. My wife and I moved to Nashville about a year ago. We found this awesome house. Sheamus had been, poking at us for years to move here, and finally, it was the right time. It reminds me of Scotland and my wife in West Virginia, where she's from. A lot of greenery, a lot of open space. We're out kind of the farmland area. And it just so happened this house is a secret room. So that's where, instead of the shrine to myself, I literally have my stuff in my secret room where I can enjoy and I don't shove it in everyone's face. So
that's awesome. You have a secret room. That's dope. And it has
I discovered it wandering around the closet, and I went, the heck's in here? And I went in, and there's like a stage. I could probably have a concert in there, actually. Like, it's pretty close to where I'm sitting right now. There's like literally a stage set up and some shelves and stuff. I went, all right, this belongs to me, my secret room. I like it.
That's pretty awesome. Cool. That's really cool.
I love that.
So listen, obviously the WWE's been in the news a lot the past few weeks. There's been some different role changes, and especially with Triple H. Triple H is now going to be head of the creative, I believe, and Shawn Michaels is now coming back and kind of helping along in assisting with this. How has the vibe been backstage with the WWE? Because, obviously it's the same thing. You guys just plan on putting on a great performance every week. But how is, behind the scenes? Is there a different vibe? Is there a different kind of, some guys are coming back, which a lot of people are excited about. There's, this happens in any company, but how is it, have you noticed a difference with the WWE at all?
Yeah, I guess the excitement factor, as I mentioned, we're so go, especially on those television days and premium live event days, that we don't have a chance to kind of sit down and, take everything in. And it's business as usual, but there is that excitement in the air because people keep turning up we've not seen for a minute. It's like, oh, there's such and such. Oh, there's such and such. And you try to catch up with them, and then someone else pops up over here. So it's not just exciting for fans watching on television. It's exciting for the superstars on the roster, just seeing, what's happening on the show, and specifically for who's going to turn up next or attack me from behind and start bashing my head off the steps.
Yeah. I believe
that, by the way.
You know what I want to know? I want to know, you see these huge personalities on TV, like The Undertaker, and you see what they're like when they're in front of all these people. What was The Undertaker like backstage when he wasn't being The Undertaker?
It was awesome. He was put in charge of me, probably against his will, when I was about 23. That was about the time where I think the powers that be realized that the older generation were starting to retire, weren't going to be there forever, and they had to start pushing some youth to the front, and it became the youth movement. And Sheamus and I were kind of the first two people they took as the kind of projects of, okay, we have to start building for the future, with Sheamus on Raw and myself on SmackDown. And Sheamus was put under the Triple H learning tree, and I was put under the Undertaker learning tree. And Vince said, you don't listen to anybody but the Undertaker. So that was such an incredible opportunity. And I thought the way I think now back then, like his wrestling IQ is obviously off the charts. And at the time, mine was a lot lower than it is now. So many of those lessons that I got just flew right over my head. And thankfully I remembered a few, and light bulbs went off as the years went by. But that was such an amazing opportunity. And to watch, how he conducted himself backstage. He just always was the coolest guy in the room. You could feel him when he walked in the room. He had such a presence. If there was a situation, it was always dealt with calmly by him. So it's such an impact on me, and how to be a leader, how to conduct yourself, and to watch him in such physical pain. And I can talk about this stuff now openly because of the Last Ride documentary, where I never would speak about this stuff, that he was so open about his life and what was going on backstage. But I would see him literally unable to walk at times, try to put himself together in the training room. And this is non-televised shows. Like, I remember a specific one in Mexico City where I was like, he can't wrestle tonight. Like, my goodness, like, he's a madman. Like, somebody stop him. Don't let him go and do this show. He can barely walk. And then I saw him do his entrance, which is obviously a bit slow, so he can get through that. But all of a sudden, he's flying around the ring like a Mexican luchador. And I went, how is this possible? I literally watched this man unable to walk backstage. Now he's hitting the ropes faster than anybody in the entire WWE, doing his diving clothesline, and then hitting all his signature moves, having the time of his life. And he came backstage. He seems fine till that adrenaline goes down. And it was, back to, the physical problems again. And I was like, man, look at him right there. That's somebody who truly loves this industry so much. He's willing to give everything, including his body, to it. And that has such a profound impact on me. And obviously the world got to see it through the Last Ride documentary, what kind of person he is and how much he loves this industry.
Yeah. No, he's it's definitely interesting to see what he's doing now, because we get to, he was always in character. He was always the Undertaker, which he still is the Undertaker, but he's not walking around with the music anymore. It's just, you kind of get to know the person a little bit, and it's cool. It's exciting to see him. Back to you, though, because you've become such a superstar.
I did tell him recently that I had in there, because this thing bothers me a lot. I saw him at Clash, and he had his one dead man show, and came around the ring, and I saw him, and like these days, we talk on a similar level. Fortunate to call him a friend, and I did say to him, "Dead man talking." It was right there. It was right there. One dead man show when Dead Man Talking was right there. Anyway, sorry,
no, I like that. You become such a superstar. You've always been a WWE superstar, but you've just been such a global star in the past few years, and you've had such an interesting career because, you were with the WWE, then you left them, then you came back, and it's just wild to see. I've never seen, as far as I know, or I can recall, someone who's had like the career path as you. Now, since you become such a star, who's the coolest person that ever ended up in your DMs on Instagram? The one you're like, oh, this is pretty awesome, and you showed your wife or something.
First of all, thank you. Stop. There's been a few. In recent memory, I guess, like an unexpected one was when Glasgow Rangers, my soccer team, won the league. And like most people out there won't know their story, but basically they were relegated or demoted to the bottom division in Scotland. They were the top team in Scotland, along with the other top team, Glasgow Celtic. It's only two teams anyone in the world knows from Scottish soccer, football. And they got demoted to the bottom division right at the same time as I got fired. And every year I kind of rose up the ranks. They would rise up a division. It was interesting how we paralleled each other right until 2020, and where I won the WWE title. And I basically told them, right, it's your turn now. You got to win the league. Our rival team had won 9 seasons in a row, and the record for victories consecutively was 9. We'd done it once. The other team had done it once. They were about to do 10, and we managed to stop them, and we won the league and prevented them winning 10 in a row the same season, same year that I got the WWE title. So it was cool doing that together. And afterwards, I talked about that, and I got a message from the manager, Steven Gerrard, a very famous soccer player for Liverpool, and we had a little banter about that, and that was pretty cool. And there's been celebrities and stuff in there that other people would find cooler, but I'm probably not going to talk about most of them. But yeah, through this job, you meet some cool people, and you meet some interesting characters. You meet some people you looked up to, and I found that in the end they're all just people, which is the coolest thing. In the end, we're all just the same, and the trick to this life is just be a good person, because none of us get out life.
Have you ever looked out to the audience and you recognize like a big movie star that you're like, I didn't realize I didn't expect to see you here, or I didn't realize you were into WWE. Ever had that moment?
I've had a couple. A couple from the UK tour fairly recently. And I remember recently being on the floor in London. I think I was facing Roman on a big show there, and I was crawling along the ground. I looked up, reaching to the crowd in pain, and I saw Lewis Capaldi, the Scottish singer, there, and he's like, "Come on, Drew, get it done." I went, "All right, Lewis Capaldi, I can do it." And, another time, right before I went out, somebody smartened me up. It might have been Corbin. Right before I went out and said, Mel B from the Spice Girls is out there. And I was like, oh, really? And then I kind of went to her people and said, I don't want to, put her on the spot in case she's trying to hide. And they were like, yeah, she's kind of trying to hide. I went, okay, I can use this, but I'll make sure I don't point her out and everybody, gets on top of her. She's got her family there. So I believe I was tagging with Jeff Hardy that night, and I told him, like, Jeff, I'm going to do a little promo for the match. And, the Spice Girls song Wannabe? He was like, yeah, bro, I know Wannabe. I was like, so what I'm going to say is, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. And then you say, so tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And I'll say, I want to, back to you, want to, really, really, really want to kick these guys' asses. He goes, oh, yeah, cool, that's no problem, bro. And I'll let him know that she's there. But I just wanted to do a little, winking a nod to her, but also our cameras. You catch it at the same time. And sure enough, we did that. And I seen her shaking her head, but I didn't want to. So that was cool to sing a little, because another last time I ended up singing in WWE shows, of course. We've seen Clash at the Castle. Nonetheless, that was a cool moment to do a bit of Spice Girls to MLB.
That's fun.
So
I love that.
Yeah. So Drew, obviously this interview has been super random with all the stupid random questions we have, but we're going to get to the last few random questions for you. The WWE, at the end of the year during Christmas time, do the superstars, do you guys have your own Christmas party? Like any job has a Christmas party, most of them. Do you guys get together and have a Christmas party like after one show, or what do you guys do? Or like, are you guys just tired and just want to go home?
I think we spend enough time with each other, more than we see our own family. We just want to go home and see our family outside of our WWE family because we see each other so much. But the ones you're close to, you'll have your night out, you'll have your dinner together, whatever, while you're on the road. And then, like I say, you'll get home and see your, family that you don't see as much as the fellow superstars. But, our people in the office, those that are behind the scenes, the unsung heroes that you don't get to see or hear about, there is a big party for them every year. And I've been fortunate to get a chance to go along there and, thank them for all the hard work they do to actually make us, superstars. We'd just be wrestlers in there doing a little wrestling match if it wasn't for everyone around us doing what they do to highlight and us and lift us up and make us so much more larger than life than we are.
That's cool. I want to know, because you're on your path to becoming a WWE Hall of Famer, who would you want to induct you into the Hall of Fame?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. Not Shatner like Jerry Lawler did. So many people could have had. Oh, God, it's going to end up being Sheamus, isn't it? He's been there since, before we both got signed, and the good times, the bad times. I'm best man at his wedding coming up. He was best man at my wedding. We give each other hell all the time, as everybody sees. We fight more than me and my actual brother fight, and people get to see it on TV as well as backstage that they don't get to see. But it's got to be Sheamus.
He'd probably have the greatest speech because he knows you better than anyone else.
Oh, I'd be just nervous. That's the only thing why I was like, God, I want him to do all the things he knows.
It'll just be a roast. It won't even be an induction. It'll just be a full roast.
We'll see how his wedding speech goes very soon. Like, always telling me, I was like, you better watch what you say. Also, I don't know everything, so am I going to learn everything tonight?
What was your most embarrassing moment in the ring?
Most embarrassing moment in the ring. I mean, there's a few things that I probably saw as embarrassing when I was younger that weren't that embarrassing, like messing up a wrestling spot. Like, that's the last thing in the world you should be concerned about. But there's way more than that's happened. There was times where I wasn't very well that I thought I'd had an accident. Thankfully, I didn't. That's never happened to Drew McIntyre. But a couple of close calls that I was so concerned I ran to the back after and had to check. And I was okay. And I was sick. I was once a New Year's baby. It was not televised. That was pretty embarrassing. These days, again, these are the kind of things when I was younger I saw as, oh my goodness, I can't believe this has happened. I'm such a serious wrestler. And eventually you realize, like, man, like, we're kids, we're playing right now. Like, we get a chance to do this wild job you've always dreamed about. You're entertaining people, and you can't just do the same thing every week. Like, you get to do mad stuff. I'd love to dress up as a baby right now. I'd have a hell of a time. Like, when I was younger, though, I was like, my goodness, I can't believe this. I'm such a serious wrestler. I cannot believe I'm putting on this. Like, this wasn't a diaper, but a sheet thing, like half-assed toga with the members of 3MB in a non-televised show. And then I had one of the guys pull the toga thing, I guess. I adjusted it in a way where you pulled it and it came off. So I had my under tights under it, no knee pads, sneakers on. And I just did a little dance around and realized I looked like a male stripper, I guess. It was a little embarrassing, but again, if that happened today, I would love it. Like these days, there's nothing you can do to me or put me in a position where I'd get embarrassed, because I've been through so much, and I realize what's important now, and I realize the entertainment factor. And again, I've mentioned it a couple of times, the singing that happened in Cardiff the other day. Like, if you told me you're going to sing a song after you lose a big match, and I don't know how much, I've still not checked how much was on TV, but not all of it was supposed to be on TV. But, you know, we went for it. And if you embrace it, chances are the crowd are going to embrace it too. And you're going to have a fun time together. And then after that fun time, you deal with the serious issue, the serious storyline stuff in the following TVs.
Absolutely. Well, who is like the sweatiest guy you faced off in the ring?
Bobby Lashley. He's a sweaty, jacked man. He's over the top of me and sweat's getting in my mouth and stuff, and I'm turning my head screaming the whole time.
How do you not gag? Someone else's sweat goes in your mouth.
Yeah, I watched Bobby closely in his matches. I never actually wrestled Shane, but I was by his side a lot. But I imagine Shane might have had him beat if we ever actually wrestled each other.
Who is the strongest WWE superstar you ever faced, or current WWE superstar that's the strongest?
Mark Henry or Brock. When those two grab you, you realize this is not a regular human being, and I'm a big guy, but there's nothing I can do to get away right now. Remember, Mark in particular had me in a crossbody position, and he told me, basically, I'm going to put you on your feet in front of you, but not behind me. I'm like, okay, how are you going to get me there? I'm just going to throw you. I'm like, all right, I didn't question it, world's strongest man. And sure enough, I went for the crossbody, he caught me, and he didn't even throw me. His arms didn't move. He just kind of flicked his wrists, and I glided about a foot over his head and landed on his feet, on my feet behind him, like superhero pose. Almost went, what just happened? I have no idea how I just got here, but there's a reason he's the world's strongest man, I guess.
One of my favorite accounts on Instagram is WrestleBotch, where they just show. How often are you just like? Do you laugh at when you see those videos? Because do other superstars laugh at those videos? Because I mean, listen,
wrestlers now, it's okay.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I can't say wrestler. So, is it funny though when you see these videos? Because I mean, I love it. I think it's amazing. What was your favorite botch, by the way?
I love it when it's not people getting hurt. That's the only ones that
those are tough.
Yeah, if people actually get hurt. And if I know they're okay afterwards, then I'll watch them. Like there was the one recently in the NWA show with the superplex. And I don't even know how they ended up on the top rope. Like the one was superplex and the other one off the ladder, and somehow he ended up superplexing like back first on the rope, and he flipped around. But I couldn't even I saw like the clip in the corner of my eye. I went nope, and then I quickly Googled he's okay, and then I went back and watched it to try and understand the mechanics, like how he even got in that situation. But I enjoy the silly ones, like that aren't necessarily botches. Like I love where Sid is just screaming because his car got crushed. Who was it was crushing his car? Was it Goldberg?
I forget. That was a great one. He just screams like no, like he just starts screaming at it.
He's shouting bad, and like Sid screaming with a crushed car, like as a bit every week. Cracks me up. And then I don't want to get mentioning Sid one after another, but obviously when he wanted to do a redo in JR was like live.
We're live. Yeah, I think it was like me and G's like, no, we're live. And
so that one keeps coming up every so often. So that's a good one right there. Not to harp on Sid, it's just the two that are coming to mind right now.
So my last random question for you is: you don't wear a lot of clothing in the ring. So what do you wear when you go to a beach? Are you wearing like Speedos, or are you wearing full board shorts when you're out in, a beach setting?
I wear more clothes in real life than I do at work. That's for sure. I don't really go to the beach. It's like drove my dad crazy. I lived in Florida for over 12 years. And in the beginning, I'd go to the beach now and again to meet up with people or whatever. But for the last 6, 7, 8 years, I never went to the beach. And he's in Ayr, Scotland, just freezing cold, raining all the time. He's like, "Do you go to the beach this week, son?" Like, "No." It's like, "I found a beach right there. Do you remember where you came from? Just freezing cold here every day. Get yourself down to the beach just for me." I was like, Dad, I could walk outside and I'm just going to melt. Like, yeah, I wasn't big on laying out in the sun. And, you know, Sheamus says aging like Benjamin Button because he's never been in the sun his entire life. I don't think he even knows what the sun is. So I think I need to start taking a page out of his book and stay away from the sun if I want to stay relatively youthful looking.
That's funny.
I love it. Well, dude, Drew, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Dax, you follow him on social, right? It's just
yeah. If for anyone who wants to follow, he's a great follow. You can find him at D McIntyre WWE on Twitter. Same thing on IG, and you can obviously watch him on SmackDown every Friday on Fox. Drew, you have been awesome. I love when we get to talk to these big superstars. I don't know. It's a world that I like to get a glimpse behind and see how it really works. I mean, we had Big E on a little while ago. He was just so fun, so full of energy. And I think for people that aren't even fans of WWE, like, this is a glimpse that, you know, you can understand. You can understand why you guys are so just fun and entertaining and relatable, and I love all of it. So thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been a fun conversation, different as well. Like, I love it. And I'm always up for a laugh, up for something different. Like you mentioned, if people are tuning in for the first time, they get to know, you know, a little bit of everything about us because of the way y'all approach the interview. So thank you. It's more like a conversation. You can call it an interview. It was just a chat. So I appreciate the chat.
Were those questions too random? Because they're just so, they weren't even all over the place. It was
they
just
were amazing. I love it. I love, you know why we're a fun interview? Because like you said, I'm answering questions that I've never answered in any interview ever. And I think it's, you know, people like this have to probably get tired of like talking about their biggest fight matches, or, you know, whether or not WWE scripted. Like, there's certain things in there that they probably just get sick and tired of talking about over and over and over again. And we hit them upside the face with some random ass shit, like the just the catering table from the very beginning. So I think people truly enjoy this.
Yeah, no, I just hope he didn't get like, he was like, what he probably had no idea what he was getting himself into. He's like, wait, when are we going to talk like wrestling? But we're just, hey, catering. Hey, when you guys drive, hey, what status are you at Delta? Yeah, which I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I don't know.
You know why? But because what I know is that not everyone in our audience is going to be a WWE fan.
Yeah.
But I think that they're going to be interested in the answers to some of these questions, which brings everyone in. So I loved it. Make sure you follow him, obviously, on social media. Make sure you're following us on social media. You can find us on IG, Hollywood Raw Pod. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook. We've got this obviously private Facebook page. If you go to find Hollywood Raw on Facebook, but then find inside of there is the Off the Record private Facebook group where we answer all of you guys' questions, talk about stuff we can't talk about here on the podcast. That community has been growing like crazy. I think I admitted some like 500 people last week into the private Facebook group. So come join. We're moderating it. We're the ones answering the questions, talking to you directly.
You guys talking to each other. It's great.
Yeah, you guys talk to each other. It's been really fun watching this our inner circle grow for the podcast. But you can find me at Dax Holt. You can find Adam at Adam Glyn. And please take a moment, head on over to iTunes, scroll down to the bottom, and leave us a review, 5-star only, so we can read it at the top of the show, give you a little shout out, and say thank you for taking the time. Until next week, guys, we'll see you then.
Guys, hope you liked that video. We got a lot more where that came from.
Hit that bell, like, subscribe, share with a friend. The best thing you do to support us is really doing that. And we really need the money because we need hair gel.